Well, we're going to head over here and see the beer stills. They're big. I'll just follow you through if you don't have problems with heights, do you?
No.
So we're going to hop in here. This is the old beer still. The building that we're going to walk into was basically the still house completed by Albert Bland in 35-36. He puts this massive beer still in place in 1937. It is 40 feet tall, 7 feet in diameter. It does have a 60,000 gallon output.
That's amazing.
It's resting at the moment.
Yeah.
But we just basically the end of the year opened up the new edition, twin still.
Wow.
It's working. So you will see both stills, but the one will be actively working today. They're both 60,000 gallons. So when they're both working together, we're producing 120,000 gallons of White Dog
a
day. So it's crazy.
That is crazy.
So this is the back view of the still house.
Wow.
That is the beer well. So after you complete fermentation, those tanks are then pumped to here. This is basically a holding tank. That is what is known as beer,
right.
About 8 to 10% alcohol.
Yeah.
That is what's going to be pumped to the beer stills. Go down the plates, steam's rolling up at 190 degrees, get your vapor. Below us, behind here, are the thick and thin tanks.
Okay.
So once that has proceeded through the still, we picked out the alcohol, the byproduct goes out the bottom where it runs through a filter, and we divide that into thin, which is cooled down, returned to those fermenters as setback, thick, which is going to be piped around to those dry houses to dry out for farmers to purchase for their livestock.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very little waste.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that. But anyway, that drops about 5 feet in an hour when one still is working. When both stills are up and running, it's going to drop about 10 feet in an hour.
That's crazy.
It's a lot of
juice.
20 to 40,000 gallons.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty impressive. Okay, so I won't talk much because it's so loud.
Okay.
But you can see the still operating.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
Alcohol is it?
40 feet. Oh yeah, sweet. It's
about 8 feet wide?
7.
7?
It's the same size as that one.
That's amazing.
Everything's identical. It's like it's raining. That's a doubler. So that's taking it from a low wine to a high wine. So low wine, about 110 proof.
Yeah.
Low wine, high wine. It's about 140.
Much more viscous.
Yes. Clear, cleaned up.
Oh,
yeah. What'd you think?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Now we gotta look at dry houses.
Yeah, it's amazing, like the scale of everything.
It's hard to believe all the state-of-the-art stuff. I mean, we're talking a $1.2 billion expansion.
I was reading about that.
Yeah, they just now have committed $600 million to Laurel County.
Wow.
To increase our cooperage. We have the cooperage down there. And to build 20 more of those big warehouses.
That's amazing.
Yeah, those are huge anyway. We're gonna head that way.
Okay.
Now, we're filling, I think, the 17th warehouse up there, and those things hold 58,800 barrels, about 28 million apiece.
Wow.
7 stories, they're just big. So all that orange piping around is river water.
Oh, really?
So we're able to take a finite amount of water, something like 2 million gallons, and just continually cycle that.
That's really cool.
So you can tell we get a lot of grains. This is what goes on all day long.
Yeah.
One dumps, another comes. It's just continuous.
And you guys operate 24 hours?
Right now we are.
Wow.
Not 7 days a week, but at least 5.5. Those are each 100,000. Basically that keeps the thick stillage from back there. So 2 of those probably go to this dry house, 2 go to the other dry house.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is probably getting a little love, a little latest. But this is the older dry house that was our primary dry house up until this past year.
Yeah.
This is the building built for us in 1942 to take care of so much of the industrial alcohol. But it's pretty cool. The dry houses are very, very important to the distillery. You don't want a lot of waste. So what ends up happening is you take that thick stillage, you run it upstairs, and the reason I'm telling you all this here is because it is loud where we're going. Right. There are centrifuges at the very tip top of the 3rd floor here. We'll go by them in the new dry house. That is going to spin out what we call thin stillage. It's like as much water as it can.
Yeah.
That water will go to an evaporator. The evaporator then will convert that as it moves, in this case, up to create a syrup. And the syrup is just really, really rich in nutrients.
Yeah.
In the new dry house, 2 of these is equal to 1 of the new dryers.
Wow.
So it's a good place to make a comparison. If you look at them really close, you're going to be wowed in just a minute on what you see.
Yeah.
The evaporators in there are pretty much some of the one-of-the-kind in the world. They have fans at the top that operate like the big blades off airplanes.
Yeah.
And they're almost like self-efficient. Once they get rolling, they keep themselves operating. So they're about 90% cost effective. Those fans are run off 500 horsepower engines.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you got to see them. There's massive.
This whole room smells like when you're cooking grits.
Yeah, it does.
It's pretty wild.
That is supposedly where those new fermenters are going to go.
Wow.
In this area right here. That contains a lot of stuff that we don't necessarily make but bottle here.
Yeah.
So, like Fireball, things of that nature.
I own a dive bar too.
That's
That's where all that started 30 years ago. So I sell a lot of Fireball.
You know,
I think that's partly why I'm allowed to come here and pick this barrel today. They're like, we don't care that you sell all the wheelie vodka. The Fireball, that seems to be a big priority right now.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
that's the dried.
That's the dry distiller strain.
Very
That's what
cool.
they're buying.
Yeah, it's amazing the scale of everything here.
Oh, yeah. That's it. Those are the tumble dryers. So those are the tanks outside.
Right?
Centrifuges back there.
Yeah.
Wet cake. Zinc jelly. Go to the evaporator. They create syrup. The syrup comes down. They mix.
Yeah.
That's the tumble dryers.
Wow. It's awesome.